Hey, Anna.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Hi, Lisa.
I think maybe she stepped away there.
Staying cool?
Oh yeah, I love this weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we need rain. I definitely know we need rain, but I love everything about a hot summer.
Yeah, I don't mind a hot summer, but this has been a long time without rain in Canton.
Yeah. Yeah, weather like this gives me just enough amnesia about the winter here, you know.
Yeah, core temperature's finally back to where it should be.
Hello.
Hello.
Lisa's got it made in the shade. Can't hear you. Uh-oh, now she froze up.
That's the challenge of going outside. Get a little too far away from the Wi-Fi hotspot.
I know, but I don't want to be inside.
We can hear you, but your face is frozen.
I sometimes may have to turn my visual off.
Yes.
As long as you can hear me, that's what's important. It's like, yeah, I hear you.
Well, the sound is like cutting in and out, so maybe turning off your video. Oh, did she leave the meeting? Uh-oh.
She did.
Okay. All right. Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
How's my voice now?
It's good.
Okay. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to look at me.
Oh, what was that face?
We lost her again.
Uh-oh. Might have to go inside. So Bob, that resolution was spruced up and it's in the packet.
I saw that, thanks.
Thanks for catching that. I thought I removed that other one. I'll remove that other one. Okay.
You have a few folks I don't recognize. Annie Ruberti.
That's Adam Atkinson.
Well, then I do recognize. And jmer9708 @gmail.
Jeff Murray.
Our code.
Okay.
Of course, sir.
So you're waiting on Karen and Tim here.
Tim, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, that must be Karen logging in.
Or Lisa?
Yes,
We can hear you.
you can.
Mm-hmm.
Good. If you can't, just let me know if it's a problem and I'll just move back up to camp. But I would much rather be sitting on the bank where the breeze is here.
I don't blame you.
It's beautiful. Boats keep going by though, and I'm jealous that I'm not out there.
Yeah. Hi, Karen. Jim?
Good evening. We got Jim on. That's good.
Yep, we figured it out. Or he figured it out. Okay, so we have one more minute. Anna,
Let me know when you want me to let folks in.
I say you start letting them in,
Okay.
please. Hi, Angela. Is that Joe? Hi, Joe. Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hello, Cindy.
Okay. Yeah.
Cindy, do you want to mute your computer?
Okay.
Hi, Joe. Linda. Angela.
That's everyone that was in the waiting room.
Okay. We'll give it a few more seconds and then we'll start the meeting. Hello, Judge. Mr. Potman.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear now, Joe?
I can hear you, but the volume is way down.
It might be, is the volume turned up on your computer?
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:02. Lisa, are you good to go?
I'm right here. I'm good. I heard you. 6:02, starting the meeting.
Okay. Just want to remind everybody of the meeting rules for Zoom. If you could please mute your computers unless you need to speak, and then unmute. I'd appreciate that. If you need to say something, there's also a little, is there a little hand wave, Anna? that they
Yes, sir. There's a raise hand icon that you can find with the under the chat. If you open the chat, you
Okay.
can raise your hand.
And Jim is modeling that. Joe, you're still struggling with the sound? Okay. Hopefully he'll be able to work that out. The first item on the, welcome everybody. And the first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone that would like to say something to the board? We're here to listen. Okay. County legislative update. Joe, can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, well, we can hear you. So how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I apologize.
Do not apologize.
Challenged to the nth degree, so you know, what can I say?
It happens to all of us.
I know.
Okay, so do you have some updates for us?
I'll tell you about the updates that I have, and I got to tell you, I'm completely unprepared for your meeting tonight, and I am completely unprepared for the Hubleton meeting that I've got to go to once I leave you. So let that being said, Bassmasters is a big item. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'd be more than happy to field them. I think the change in leadership at the Department of Social Services is also an item worthy of discussion, although you might not get the information that you are looking for from me. Sales tax is another one. There's a pleasant surprise attached to that, which I'm sure will make everybody happy. And then if there's any other questions that you have, I'd be glad to address them if I can. So I throw out the Bassmasters if anybody wants to discuss that. No fishermen in the audience?
Tim has a question.
So I know there was some discussion, suggestion that the participants be tested again. I know they're in New York right now. We're going to be before. Are they going to be tested when they arrive in St. Lawrence County after they've been in New York for a bit?
Well, the short answer to that is if they come to New York and if they come to St. Lawrence County, they will be tested once they are in New York. Now, let me back up a little bit and tell you that the original plan that was put together over the weekend with members of Bass was that they were going to come tomorrow to Cayuga Lake. At that time, they were going to be tested. They had not been quarantined for the 14-day period, but they were going to be tested anyway. We, during our conversation with them, set out the demand that once they leave or once they are ready to leave Cayuga Lake to come to St. Lawrence County, they be tested again. That would give them a 12 or 13 day period in the Finger Lakes where they would be, for the first week, practice fishing, and the second week, or the second half of the second week, actually fishing in the tournament. Now, unofficially, I've been told that because there were some problems with the testing, and please don't go anywhere with this because it's unofficial, it's not confirmed, but I'm told that Bassmasters has canceled their Cayuga Lake tournament. They have not canceled, nor have we canceled, the Bassmasters here in Waddington. One of the reasons is we just found out about this within the past 2.5, 3 hours. So there's still some question on whether or not we can rearrange the board, so to speak, and to come up with something that they can comply with, that we can put up with, and that maintains the safety of everybody in St. Lawrence County, including the fishermen and those that accompany them into the state. So that's going to be a work in progress for the next day or two, I'm sure, to see what we can accomplish. Already there's been some ideas floated, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be something that we in the county can agree to, or that perhaps Bassmasters can agree to. So right now it's a work in progress, trying to come up with a plan, a good plan, not just a cobbled together plan, but a good plan that will make those, we can't guarantee anything, but we can go a long way to making sure that we're doing the right things, that we're following the executive orders, and that we can enforce them and, make them happen. So, that being said, that's sort of where we are with it.
Thank you. Yeah. So, it sounds like it's a lot of moving pieces, but even if they were, as long as even they were able to be in New York State before they get to St. Lawrence County, certainly hope there'd be a push to have testing when they arrive here.
Well, yes. And Bassmasters, I'm told already, has something worked out with an urgent care facility in the southern part of the northern part of the state to, excuse me, to provide the testing. We don't know how that's going to work, and we don't know what kind of testing, and we don't know if the testing is approved by the pro sports people, not necessarily Bass, but those that regulate professional sporting events. So, there's a lot of devil in the details on this one. And, I have no idea how it's going to work out. If somebody were to ask me tonight, are we going to have a Bassmasters tournament? I don't know. But we'll see what happens. And it isn't a matter of we have to have one or we don't have to have one. It's a matter of if we have one, that we're going to do it right and not make any stretches of imagination as to how things are going to turn out. We're going to make sure that things turn out the way we want them to turn out if we follow all the rules. So that's where we are with that.
Okay, Bob has a question.
What's the plan? Oh, sorry. Yeah, what's the plan for curious spectators at the start and weigh-in?
They are going, well, first off, there aren't going to be any spectators. The stage itself is going to be rotated so that it faces the river, so that anybody that thinks they're going to get a view of it from the street, from the bowling alley, say, from across where Brandy Brook comes out, it isn't going to happen. They're not going to be there. There will be gates set up, so for the convenience of the crews, the convenience of the television crews that are going to be there, and the Bass Elite. Nobody else will be allowed in there. Everybody is going to be credentialed. There will be law enforcement there if the need to strictly enforce something. They will be there to do that. But there will be nobody, absolutely nobody, that is not either a fisherman or a bass person or a ESPN crew allowed in there under any circumstances. And I say under any circumstances. Obviously, in an emergent situation, you're going to have EMTs or something, or rescue squad show up. But, absent that, it's not for the public to attend. We discourage anybody from trying to get there because they're not going to get in. And if they persist and cause an issue, then the issue they cause is going to fall on them, not on anybody else.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing I might say about that is that if these people do come to St. Lawrence County, they usually have, a family member with them, a girlfriend, somebody that, sort of accompanies them. They also will be tested. So we're trying to work all the angles and, make sure it's done right.
Joe, I know also traditionally many of the participants stay with host families. Some have the same family they stay with every year. That may not be a great idea this year.
No.
Are they going to be in hotels or?
Some of them will be in hotels. Some of them have rented housing. Some of them have brought their own accommodations. For instance, I know that at least a couple will be staying at Lisbon Beach. They have the obligation while they are there before the end of that 14-day period to quarantine. And that has been made very clear. That's part of your obligation when you come here. And in addition to that, once they're tested, the likelihood that after they've been here for, perhaps 8 or 10 days or even closer towards the end, they'll be tested again. And during the actual event, they will be screened on a daily basis for temperature. They, the questions that are normally asked of them as far as, any cough, any symptoms that, might be readily apparent to them. We're going to ask them if they have them. Hopefully they're professional bass men and they are professional human beings and that they will answer those questions honestly.
Okay, Bob, you have another question?
Are Bassmasters requiring any sort of sign off on claims of responsibility should something erupt from this event?
They are not, they have not, and I don't think it's something that we'd be willing to sign off on anything like that.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
you're welcome.
So it's July 23rd through the 26th. Is that the targeted dates, Joe?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
And how many participants? I did get to go over last year.
Well,
There's a lot of people, but how many actual fishers?
I've heard two numbers, 85 and 87 participants. On the first 2 days, they'll all be fishing. On the third day, it is decreased to 40. And on the last day, it's either 12 or 10, and I'm thinking 10. So it does, the numbers do decrease, as the tournament goes on.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'd like to give you this, is that, I talked about the sales tax. The sales tax actually came in at a significant increase for the last month of the quarter. We were really down well over $2 million total. And of course, a percentage of that goes to yourself, the towns, the villages, and the city of Ogdensburg. So you're going to see a decrease, but not to the extent that we had originally thought that it was going to be. I can't give you a dollar amount for what it will mean to Canton, but I will tell you that the county as a whole, for its collection for the second quarter, was down a little over $700,000. So that beats the daylights out of being down $2 or $3 million. And that's what we were looking at. You know, when this thing all got started, we didn't know, and then we saw it start to come in, and that 30% plus number kept popping up, and we thought, oh, this is not going to be good. But hopefully it's not going to be quite as bad as we thought it would be.
Okay.
I just have one question.
Angela?
Joe, do you know of the $700,000 decrease, what that is percentage-wise, quarter to quarter for the same time last year?
I can't tell you what it is percentage-wise. I know that it's a decrease from, it's a $730,000 decrease from the same period last year.
Okay.
I could get that information for you, but I don't know what it is right now. When we were looking at 30% decreases, we were looking up in the $2 million range, 2 to 3 million.
Okay.
So that might give you, you know, a better feel of where that percentage number might bring you.
It does, yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Anyone else? How about social services? We had a change in leadership in social services. The interim director, Heather Wenzel, resigned her position effective Monday. And we had already started the interview process for to look for a replacement for Chris Radiz, who retired here a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, just before this pandemic hit us. And Heather decided that she was going to resign, and she went to work for a similar outfit up in Malone, I believe it is. So now we are looking to fill that position with somebody else, and we're moving forward on that. It's a tough job. It has to be approved by the state of New York. We have, I think, 3 applicants that were interviewed along with Heather Wenzel, who was also interviewed. And I think probably we will be making a decision sometime in the very near future about how we're going to, address that vacancy. But it's an important one. You're talking fully, almost a quarter of the employees of St. Lawrence County work in the Department of Social Services. So it's a very important position, and it certainly can't go without a good leader for very long. So we'll be doing our level best to get that position filled with the best qualified person.
Good news. It is a very important position.
Yes, yes. If there's anything else that anybody has on their mind with regard to the county?
Tim?
Joe, at our, we had a recent joint meeting, town and village of Canton, and the topic of broadband coverage came up. The COVID crisis has really brought it into relief for some of our younger people, both at the scholastic and collegiate level, that don't have broadband. It's tough to do online learning when you can't get online.
That's right.
So, this is another selection off our greatest hits album, but it's a problem, and we're trying to work on it. I know that this utility tax, whatever, has recently come to light a little bit in terms of the problem that creates for the utilities, the impediment for trying to build it out and be taxed. So I'm just wondering if there's any update from the county side, if there's been more push there, because we feel like the solution to this needs to be county-wide here and try and do it. Canton's not alone in this.
It's something that is, I don't want to say it's on our plate, very close to being there. I know that there has been some discussion with Assemblyman Walczyk and with Congresswoman Stefanik about that very topic. And I know that Stefanik is working on some kind of a effort and probably a bill to try and get the governor of New York to rescind that tax, that very tax that you're talking about. That I don't know how we do it with all the taxes we've got in New York State, but every time something like this comes along, that's what they want to do, is to you know, to attach a dollar figure to it and how much we can get out of it. And we tax everything. This is the problem, is the taxes that the providers pay for putting those lines in place. And I mean, you can't really blame them a lot when, you know, it conceivably does not necessarily cost them money, but generates no revenue. So, or revenue to speak of anyway. So the short answer is it's on our plate, or close to being on our plate. We will be, I'm sure, bringing forward some kind of a resolution to, you know, dovetail with what is being brought both on the state and the federal level.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, we're
All right. Thank you.
going to just keep putting pressure on because it really, it's a huge problem for.
Well, you know,
it's an economic, the group that's looking at it for us is our economic development group, because it's an economic development issue for us, right? People, there's a lot of quality land in the town of Canton that somebody may want to, you know, buy an existing house or build a house on. But if they can't get broadband internet, they're not going to do it, and that's costing us all. That's costing us all money.
You're right. And I was just talking to a gentleman the other day from Ogdensburg that was going to build a house down in the Colton area. And it is a ways off of the road, a ways away from power lines. And the amount of money that, that they wanted to string a power line from, you know, where it is now to where it needs to be was out of this world. And I'm talking into 5 figures that, you know, they wanted to do that. How do you build a house, pay taxes, you know, buy the land, and then have to spend probably half as much as you were going to spend on, you know, buying the land or building the house for a power line? It just seems a little bit, I think we've gone a little crazy here sometimes, but that's only me. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, John. We
Thank
appreciate your time.
I will head to Hewelton if there are no more questions.
Everybody's good, I think.
All right. Thank you very much. Take
Okay.
care. Hopefully with one of us 3, hopefully we'll see you next month.
Okay. Take
Okay.
care.
Take care.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes of the regular meeting on 6/10/2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Karen. Any further questions, concerns? All in favor say aye.
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 I'm abstaining. I was absent.
Okay. So we have 1 abstention. Okay. Jim, can you hear us? I'm not sure if we should have him double check that. All right.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. The next item is supervisor's report. Angela, how are you?
Doing well. How's everybody? All right. So the report this month is really pretty much in line where I think we would expect to be. If you look at the summarization of income and expenses, year to date, we have a net surplus in all of the funds year to date. I know that's something we're actively watching. Legislator Lightfoot's news about the sales tax was good news, but not great. We as a town had met and kind of projected a decrease on that line, and we were, I think, using that 30% number as well. So that comes good to hear. I think if I do my math right, it's about a 10% reduction of sales tax for them countywide. So that no doubt will trickle down to the town of Canton. But looking at the overall report with the A fund, we have already funded the real property tax of that fund, which is the bulk of the revenue in there. Much like last month's report in the month of May, we're still seeing a lag in justice fees, understandably, and also the town clerk fees as well. So we would have hoped to be, at this point in the year, 50% of the budget had been met. We've only met 30% for the justice fees and 25% for the town clerk fees. With that being said, the expenses in this A fund are where we would have anticipated. I always say personal services are your biggest expense here, and they are all at 50% where we would expect them to be. There are really no other sizable items that I would say are something we should point out or review, unless you have any questions on that, but everything is running status quo. The general fund has a surplus of $104,000 for the first 6 months of the year. The B fund, town outside, we have budgeted revenue of $377,000 rounded, and we've collected $268,000. So we've met overall 71% of the budget in that particular fund. The line we're watching the most is the county sales tax distribution. For 6 months, we've collected 75% of what we have anticipated, so we would need to fund roughly around $75,000 through the next 6 months of the year. I don't particularly see that as being a problem, but we also have another area which is relying on that sales tax money as well. As far as the expenses go, spending is on par with where I would have expected it to be for the 6 months out of the year. And that particular fund has a year-to-date surplus of $169,000, and they've met 26% of their total appropriations overall. So, I mean, salary is certainly a big part of that. We do have a contingency in there that we haven't met anything on. So the B fund is a healthy fund as well. The special fire, we have collected all the revenue in that fund as well, and that is no change from the prior month. We have expended approximately 73% of our total appropriations, so we have some monies yet to pay out to Canton Fire and Morley. So those we would anticipate in the next 6 months probably fulfilling those appropriations as well. The special lighting, we have again collected all the revenue in that fund, and we have expended 50% of what we would have expected on the lighting expenditures. So that fund is relatively small, but nonetheless important. The next one to talk about is the town-wide highway fund, the DA fund. We have funded that fund in total. We have collected $731,000 of revenue, where we had budgeted $728,000. So that fund is fine revenue-wise. We had a appropriations budget of $728,000, and we have expended $519 of that. The largest part of those expenditures relate to the snow removal wages, and there's always a little bit of balancing between DA/DB as we move throughout the year and eventually close out that budget. We are at approximately 50% for our brush and weed line, and so there's really no big challenges or surprises that we're anticipating in the DA fund. The DB fund, your part-town highway, this is another one where we're relying on additional sales tax revenues to come in to fulfill our budget anticipated revenue. And we had budgeted $518,000 for sales tax. We collected $206,000. So we've got about another $312,000 left to collect, and we're at 40% of that budget line. So we'll be particularly interested in watching the DB Part-Town Highway because we also have anticipated $223,000 of CHIPS money. So the CHIPS money, I know in other organizations that we work with, the state is slowly announcing cutbacks on certain funds that these organizations were anticipating. So I don't expect government to go out of the governor's sights on some of those cutbacks. So we're particularly watching this DB fund. The appropriations are $741,000, and that was our budget. We've expended $105,000. A large part of that was contractual expenditures. I know that the town has been very careful regarding their spending in the last quarter. So I think there's a lot of fiduciary diligence done there. That's, I think will hopefully be okay. Let's say we get to the end of the year and we have a deficit. There's a significant, I wouldn't say a significant, but there's a healthy fund balance in this fund as well. So it's not as though there's any immediate risk here, but definitely something to keep our eyes out on. And in your supplementary information, the cash in bank is healthy. There isn't a fund or funds that have unhealthy balances. In fact, by and large, they're either equal to or greater than the year prior at the same time. So any questions?
Any questions from board members? Okay. Thank you, Angela.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I do want to add on, the spending freeze is continued for at least another month. And I just really appreciate all the departments. They've been very patient with me, but we're getting by, and they're working really hard, and I really appreciate it. Correspondence. We just have 2 correspondence just for information purposes only. We received an email from Dan Domini regarding the flying of the pride flag. And then the second item is it was from St. Lawrence County North Country Events. This is the Bassmasters group. They are requesting sponsorship from the town of the event. And my feeling is we're not able to participate in that this year due to the funding, but we did get a letter requesting a sponsorship. Unless any other board member is interested in talking more about that, I don't feel that we're able to help this year. Okay.
This, for the record, this is an annual request and we have not contributed in the past. This is not a change from our current position.
No. Okay, audit committee. That would be Jim and Karen this month.
Yep. So Part-Town Highway DB, $4,891.67. Townwide Highway DA, $9,147.44. B Town Outside, $3,094.30. Special Lighting, $278.75. Special Fire, $67,917.16. Trust and Agency, $15,751.15. And General A, $29,124.14.
All right. I need a motion to approve expenditures.
Motion.
Motion by Jim Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bob Washoe. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Carried. Department reports. Okay, Judge Morgan.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good. Have anything to add?
Well, the court will start up again in August, And we are working on getting signage put down on the floor and for the walls and such, so we can get people in and out with as least amount of social contact as possible. We are going to send letters out to, say, people that have vehicle and traffic tickets to let them know what their options are, that they don't have to come to court. They can apply for reductions, they can plead guilty, or they could set for trial. They don't have to come to court to tell us that. We're also sending letters out to attorneys to let attorneys know that, look, if you don't have a deal and you don't want to set your case, your client's case for trial, then there's no reason to come to court, because quite often they come to court just to adjourn the matter to have more time to speak with the DA. So we're trying to limit those, limit people from coming to court. I know at the end of the month is my heavy day, and right now I'm somewhere around 250 people scheduled on the docket. We're lowering that number, but it is what it is. So the plan is to take names and numbers as they come in outside of the building. We're gonna have a table set up, take their name and numbers, and then have them go somewhere else and back to their car or go sit under a tree, whatever. And then we will call them and let them know when we're ready for them to come in. That way we limit how many people are in the court at any given time. So it's a work in progress. We'll see how it goes. They're going to enter through the Main Street door, but they're going to exit through the Minor Street door. In regards to the email that you and I had about cleaning up afterwards, the court has no problem with cleaning up their personal workspaces, but when it comes to the tables and the lockers and the chairs that the defendants or the people coming in are going to use, I think it would be a prudent idea if the town or village could come up with a way to have someone come in either after court or on Thursday morning and do a thorough cleaning of the courtroom.
Just for the record, court did meet with the building committee already on this, and that was one item that we really didn't have an answer for yet. We talked about it, but I wanted the rest of the board to know that you know, that's going to be an issue that we have to address. And you know, we have our meetings on Wednesday night, so that's right after maybe a heavy court day too. So we have to think about all those things as well. Okay, Tim, did you have a question?
No, just we have to address that, and I know building committee and court committee work together on that, which is pretty much the whole board by the time we get done doing that. But I agree with Judge. You know, that's it's not up to the court staff to clean up after the defendants. It hasn't been before. It's not going to be now.
Okay.
We are starting to assess fines, and we're getting revenue starting to come back into the court too, and starting to get that whole process going again. So hopefully by August we'll be back to where we were in March.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of Judge Morgan? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Linda. Oh.
I'm on already.
Hi, Linda.
Maybe I'm at the end.
How are you?
Good. Good.
Do you have anything to highlight? Or could you highlight a few things from your...
Well, the person that came in last week to do genealogy studies on 15 and 17 Chapel Street. He lives on Goodrich Street, and he bought these two houses. He's been here 2 years, and he has done a lot of research on his own at the county on those two houses. And one of the houses with the stone wall around it was the Benjamin Kipp House, which is very historic, built in 1830. So he came, because he saw my book online, so he came and got a book and got some of the calendars, but very interested in being a part of the community. And that got me thinking, that I've been researching this week on the historic newspapers. There used to be 2 welcoming committees in Canton. So I'm looking into that eventually when things get cleared up a little bit more, but I think that would be a good option for me and the community to have a welcoming committee. He said where he came from, there was one, and we had two different times in our community. And to me, that sounds like a good idea. And I will be looking into that. And I keep reading the newspaper articles on the welcoming committees. And there was quite a few community members that were part of it. So that's my big plan for one of the futures. But people, I guess, yeah, people have been coming in, so things we're looking up.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody have a question on my report?
It's always very thorough, so thank you.
Well, yeah, I want you to get to know who I'm working with, so that helps me and entertains you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. Cindy, are you there?
I'm doing this without a mouth, so hold on. Hi.
Hi.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Okay. I don't have too much to add.
All right, Cindy. Cindy.
Report.
Cindy, we're having a hard time here.
The month of June.
Cindy.
And
Cindy.
Going out there and not clear. Can you hear me?
We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. Let me, come on.
We're having a hard time hearing you. Okay. Is she signed off?
Yes, she did. She just dropped.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to Lisa.
I'm here and I apologize. I can't have my video on or I'll sound like Cindy all chopped up.
Yeah.
iPad and it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things. They had moved my conference that was supposed to be the end of April and beginning of May to August. And as of this morning, that's now canceled. I'm supposed to be getting a refund from the hotel and whatnot. So we'll have that back. And then I know the revenues were down, but since we've opened back up, massive marriage licenses. Everybody hasn't liked that distance they've had to keep or whatever. Quite a few from Canada, one from, another country. And on Thursday afternoon, this is just calls because many people don't even call to schedule to get a marriage license. We're doing 2 back to back. We did 2 today. I think we did 1 on Monday. Definitely did 1 yesterday. So the marriage license fees you're going to see that are probably going to catch up pretty quickly to make up for what we did lose. Yeah, things are going well. People are generally pretty good about coming in, wearing their masks and signing in when we can remember to ask them to sign in. Yeah, I don't really have any issues right now. Has anybody got any questions for me?
Anyone on the board?
Anybody?
Okay.
Things are going okay in my office right now under the circumstances.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
All right, Cindy, do you want to try again? You just have to.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, I had to switch rooms. This room has no air conditioning. So I was in the room with the air conditioning on a different computer. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, just adding to my report, we're going out there and data collecting and we're finding things and we're updating the sketches and we're updating the inventory on the property record cards and things are going pretty smoothly. I got Lena working with me 2 days 2 to 2.5 days a week. So it's great, and especially going out on the trafficked roads like State Highway 68, you can't, there's nowhere to pull over, and having somebody with you and being able to drive and look at the properties, it's working out really good. So to this next week, I'll be doing 2 online classes through the New York State Assessors Association, and that'll be online, so saving hotels and meals and all that good stuff. So $100 for a class, got 12 credits, not bad. So that's about it. I was just looking over the parcels, and we have 3,948 parcels in the town of Canton, and 3,620 are taxable. Then the rest of them are utilities and special franchises and wholly exempt parcels, and so it's not all that many that we thought we needed to have to collect, and we're probably at the 400 mark now, so it's going. So I'm glad to have her and on board, and like I said in my report, if one of the towns decides to do an update, then she's there. So so far, so nobody's committed to that. So
All right, good news. Just to remind the board that, or to inform the board that a press release was sent out to let the public know that this is happening, and Cindy and the county are driving separate vehicles, but they're both marked, you know, identifying who they are. So if there's any questions to that effect, wanted to add that in. So, all right, any questions of Cindy from other board members? Tim?
Cindy, could you talk about, I mean, at some point we need up-to-date assessments on the exempt properties as well, so that we can properly analyze what percentage of our value
you mean
is
like
exempt.
the whole exempt properties, the churches?
Yeah, I mean, they have
Yeah.
assessments too, so that we
Right.
need those in order to know what percentage of our value, because you obviously look at the universities, they are worth a lot.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
exempt.
definitely.
So
yeah.
so what's the process for updating that? You kind of just hinted at, you don't really need to update them, but
For the
we
most
do.
part, well, I did SUNY Canton already. So just going down on the campus and taking pictures of all the buildings and making sure we have all the inventory correct on the property record cards. So yeah, St. Lawrence will be the next big one to go down and do the same. So a lot of the information is not there, and a lot of it is there, you know. So the last time they did the update was in 2008, and we're finding things that, you know, people put in ground pools, or they put in deck, you know, or they replaced the deck, and what they replaced for what they had originally, they made it bigger, you know. So, and then there was no permits for, and you know, we're just adding and we're updating, like I said, the sketches. But for the whole exempt properties, it's handled just the same way, you know. So.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Jeff?
I'm here. You can hear me all right?
Yes.
Business is good. Construction companies are really working. We're turning out quite a few permits.
Stop. You're garbling.
Let me turn off my video. See
Okay.
if this helps.
Yep, that helps.
Okay. Business is good. The construction companies are very active. We're turning out a lot of permits. We seem to have a lot of planning board action, and for our ZBA, which only met the last time in 2017, we're already working on our second one for this year, so that's active. just seems to be good. And I'm still heading out on the road and dealing with most of the contractors at their job sites. It just keeps the traffic down in the building, and I think that's just a better way to deal with it for right now. And the contractors love it. They got a guy that comes right to them, brings them the permit, brings them the application. They don't have to leave the job site, so that end of it's working good for me. And that's the way I'm going to continue for a while, just to keep it safe in the building. The least amount of people I think we have there, the better. So, especially with court going to be starting up, we're going to be dragging a lot more people into it. So as long as I can keep my job going and do it on the outside, that's the way I think I'm going to continue to handle it for right now. Other than that, I don't have much more to add. If anybody's got any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Anyone have any questions of Jeff? All right, great, thank you. Jim.
Good evening. I have two additions to my report, both of which have come about in the last 24 hours or so. The first is that we'll be adding some sand to Taylor Park tomorrow or the next day. It's depending on the village DPW. So I wanted to thank Brian for making that happen. The water level in the river is so low right now that it's a little unsightly. We tried moving some of the sand around, but the water level has just continually dropped over the last few weeks. So as someone joked with me a couple weeks ago, if someone wants to volunteer to do a rain dance or something, I'm sure all of our yards need it as well. And then the only other addition was that I'm currently working on getting everything ready for the NYMER inspection. I don't see any issues with it. I took the last report, which was done a year and a quarter or so ago, I believe it was, and everything that was suggested as an improvement for us was done. So we tried to stay on top of anything else that's related to safety or anything that could be an issue. And I don't see any problems. Taylor Park is open, obviously. Press release went out a few days later than it should have. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the why that happened, but I have not gotten a return call or email yet from any of the local news distributors. So that's it, unless someone has questions.
Anybody have a question of Jim? All right, well, thank you. Lee?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. My report is pretty thorough, but just some highlights. Right this time of year, we're working on mid-year reporting for all of our grants. So we've been working on that the last couple of weeks. We're back in the office now for the most part. We have submitted reimbursement requests for the Brownfield Opportunity Area Grant and one of the LWRP grants. We continue to work on the closeout paperwork on another one of the grants. We're pushing forward with the Oswegatchie Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan and also the Brownfield Opportunity Area Study. We've got the Housing and Market Assessment draft report back from the consultants on the Brownfield grant. So those are moving forward. We're on pause right now with the Grass River marketing plan until at least August, and then we'll see where we're at because there's some public sessions and things that need to happen with that, both that and the local waterfront revitalization. But there are things that we're able to do in the meantime. Dairy Queen is under construction, as you may have noticed. So that's exciting. We're continuing newsletters. The necessity for them may be a little less now than it was. So we've kind of backed off from doing them weekly, on an as needed basis now. We did lose a few businesses from COVID or since the COVID crisis, but I think we're going to be gaining a couple too. So the loan program was launched last month. We have sent out, I think, 5 or 6 applications. We have not gotten any completed applications back yet, so we're going to continue to push that program as needed. I think that's a decent summary of what's going on with us.
That's a lot. Board members, any questions of Lee? Okay, thank you for all your work, Lee.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Committee reports. Are there any board committee reports? Karen?
Yep. I just wanted to mention that the IT and Communications Committee has been meeting and discussing the department head reports, and we put together a list of questions that will be coming out in an email to all department heads that will spark more information for town board members, so that we are getting information in a more consistent way, and that we can get information that helps us be more effective town board members. Not saying that there's anything wrong with the current department head reports, but we just think that we can streamline them and make them more efficient. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that a communication will be coming out about that in the near future. And we're excited about the outcome of that. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Any other committee reports?
I'm just gonna add on to the communication technology report. I agree with everything Karen said, but we're also exploring in a post-Zoom world how to continue having our meetings put out there in the virtual world. So we're exploring options, and that's something that if and when we transition from Zooming, we still intend on presenting our meetings live in one way or another to the public.
Okay, great. Tim, did you have a committee report?
Yeah, the Economic Development Group had a call this morning with Chamber of Commerce President Carol Spadassini, just kind of kick off the conversations about what we have the chamber agreements and the request for funding, and just kick off some conversation about some more information we can get from them. So she's going to be in the process of gathering info and coming back to us with an update.
Okay, very good. Bob?
The Highway Committee shared with the board earlier an email, an update on CHIPS reimbursement, and this is mostly for Angela, I guess. Just to let you know that we do have a reimbursement in for $144,000 that I believe Terry said that check should be available to the town on the 17th of this month. And that we've done some work and he's accumulating invoices, and once he gets, so CHIPS in Pave New York and extreme weather, they send out quarterly letters. And so you have to wait for the quarterly letter before you send in your second or third or fourth reimbursement. So we're waiting on that letter. And in the meantime, Terry's accumulating all his bills and invoices. And as soon as he gets that letter, that should say whether we're still at 100% funding or it's down to 80 or whatever it might be, he's going to be ready to send that in immediately.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Okay, any other committee reports? Did I do a motion to accept department reports? I don't think I did. Lisa, did I?
You did not.
Okay, so I need a motion to accept our department reports.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, old business. Resolution encouraging landowners to use marginal land prior to sale or when signing lease for large-scale solar arrays. We had this on the agenda last month. It was tabled because it is brought to us by Bob. Bob, would you like to speak to this resolution?
Sure. So as we're all aware, the construction has started on the smart path through Canton and St. Lawrence County, among others. And we're also aware that the governor has a pretty aggressive agenda for getting off fossil fuels and onto renewables, probably the most aggressive in the country at this point. And there's enough stories out there of projects being explored around the county. So we thought it would be a good idea to follow the county's lead and just put it out there as property owners are looking into potential leases with solar developers, that they consider their land and work with soil and water to try to protect some of our most valuable lands, especially ag lands, because ag is another important economic sector, probably the most important economic sector up here. And that eating is not going to go, the need to eat is not going to go away, regardless of our forms of energy. So just something for landowners to keep in mind. And within the resolution, there's some specific detail about acreage for prime soils and the breakdown of the soils within the town. I'm in favor.
Okay, it is a page and a half, and what I could do is read the therefore be it resolved, and then we'll take a vote on it. Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Canton encourages landowners to use their marginal lands and to utilize the advice of the Soil and Water Conservation District prior to the sale of lands or when signing leases for large-scale solar arrays, and to preserve productive farmland for future agricultural use. And be it further resolved that to allow for continued agricultural activity, solar developers are encouraged to design arrays so that sheep grazing and/or apiaries can occur at solar lease sites and funding agencies. The St. Lawrence County Planning Board and Municipal Planning Board should recommend such design. And be it further resolved that solar developers, funding agencies, and local governments are encouraged to arrange community solar agreements so that local residents and businesses can take advantage of lower electricity bills. And be it further resolved that large-scale solar arrays that are established to sell energy to the grid shall be subject to a payment in lieu of taxes during the 15 years exemption that is available for solar energy systems and shall provide a community benefit as contemplated in the town of Canton solar law. I need a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Just to clarify, we're voting on the motion with Bob's edits that were provided this afternoon. Is that correct?
yes, the edits have
Yes.
been made already.
Okay, yes.
Yes. Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, carried. Thank you.
And just one more item for the record, and it's in the resolution, but the township of Canton has over 40,000 acres of prime soils or soils deemed highly important by the state of New York. So it's a significant issue.
Sure is. Okay, thank you, Bob, for putting that together. The next item is the DANK GIS services proposal. Again, this was on the agenda last month and we tabled it because Bob had brought it forward. And Bob, do you want to speak to this?
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, what it is, there's dozens of municipalities around the county that, and the North Country that works with DANK to digitalize and inventory assets, infrastructure assets. The village of Canton has been involved with them now for 2 or 3 years. And I think it would be a good idea for the town to start to create and document an inventory that would be shareable in the future and then could be updated with ease. And Star Carter, who I've spoken with that Dank would be happy to come to a meeting and discuss further with the board, but it's pretty self-explanatory that they could get going on this right away. So there's initial cost of actually doing the legwork and then a maintenance fee per year, so that when, let's just say, a culvert is updated or a road sign is changed, it will be maintained and made available. And I think that having that sort of documentation will go a long way should we need, or let's just say if CFAs come around again, if we're applying for money, having that sort of data collected and information to point to, I think it would bode well in grant applications as well, and just be practical on the ground.
So the proposal is for $8,000 and then a hosting service by year of $825 up to $875 for 4 years. My question, and I may have said it last month, is A, we didn't budget for this, and B, is it something that could be, and we're still under a spending freeze, and is it something that can wait to be put in the budget for 2021? I throw those questions out because we need to decide where the money's going to come from to move it forward. And we'd have to do a budget amendment because it's a new item. And I did.
Hi, can I add to this?
Oh, just let me just finish my thought, Cindy, please. I did look at the village's site today. I asked the mayor about it and asked him to bring it up. And it is a very impressive program. It really is. And they're doing a lot with it. And it's very impressive. So those are my comments.
I think another thing to consider is, I'm not speaking for Terry, but Terry has alluded to that he may not run again as an elected highway superintendent. So having this sort of data collected could help with any potential future transition beyond Terry's term also.
Okay. Any other board member want to make a comment?
Can I add to this?
Yes, you can, Cindy.
Okay. I have access to this program through the county. At least if you guys need to use it, I mean, it could come up in my office and you could use it till the end of the year until you guys purchase it in January if you want to do that. But there's a lot to it. It's not just like you go in and, okay, I'm going to look at this, and there's a lot to this mapping program. And I took the class, a couple of years ago, and I've updated with them when the village bought it. So, and I just purchased a book for assessors for GIS, and I'm looking over the things. There's a lot to this program. It's a great tool, I'll say that, but it's like you have to know what you're doing when you get on there, because it's not just for the layman. And you have to I don't say you have to be a programmer or anything, but it's a great tool, and I'll be willing to help out if you want to hold off until January. So it's up to you.
Well, I appreciate that, Cindy, but what we're actually paying for is the data collection in order to populate the program. So the program really doesn't do us any good unless we're actually populating it with the data. Mm-hmm. And that's what Dank does a expert job at, is actually boots on the ground doing the inventory of all of our infrastructure. And I think it's probably information that our insurance company would like to have access to, because we don't have any sense of the dollar value or the replacement cost of all of that infrastructure out there. And our quote is based on a very approximate guesstimate by Carrie of how many signs and culverts are actually out there, because it's unknown at this point. Things are just done, and I'm sure that institutional knowledge is in people's head, but it's not on paper. It's not available to maybe other people who need it. So really the bulk of what we're talking about is the actual data collection.
Okay. And it's for culverts and bridges, road signs, and streetlights. And then the initial setup and training. Okay, so what would the board like to do?
Just one other comment. So in our initial Economic Development Committee discussions about the broadband access, we were wondering if there could be a tie-in here. It may not be direct, but there could be some economy of scale, because we also lack accurate mapping of exactly where, you know, true broadband access is and isn't available. And, you know, some of the sites the state provides will tell you broadband's available everywhere. Well, they're just going to give you, you know, satellite internet, which isn't true broadband. They're just going to say that Verizon hotspots can run. That's not true broadband internet at these places. So I don't know if there's a direct tie-in possible or not. You know, it's one thing to be looking kind of down at the ground for culverts, and another thing to be looking up at the poles for fiber optics. But if there's any way to tie this in and help us get a better grip on our situation in terms of the broadband coverage, that would be really compelling.
And I totally agree, Tim. And I think that's the sort of, we don't have that relationship with DENC. And what I was trying to do is forge a relationship with DENC on the most basic level, so that we're in their system. We come apart. We're not a partner with DENC at this point. DENC specifically has contracts with municipalities. They have excellent working relationships with those municipalities, but you're either on the bus or you're off the bus. And right now we're off the bus. So I think that a natural extension of that inventory then, and I'd be surprised that if DENC is not involved in assessing broadband across the North Country already.
As Bob just said there, I mean, this isn't something that is cutting edge and we want to be right there. This is something the town of Canton, for the size of the town of Canton, should already have. We're behind. We're not even up to speed. I mean, there's a lot smaller communities out there than the town of Canton that have this technology, and we don't. And, you know, I understand that money is always going to be a concern, but I do think that for the price for the money we'd have to invest in this, I think it has a very good chance of us getting all of the return on our investment by just being able to have information available. As Bob said, you know, CFAs come around. I mean, it's all information that all of a sudden we don't have to pay people to develop. We have it. It's there.
And there's an app associated with this also, so that, let's just say the crew is out there and they're replacing a culvert or a sign, they could actually enter that data right then and there, and the website's updated automatically. So, or the municipality can collect the changes, and then quarterly, DENC goes in and then manually changes it. But we would have direct access if we felt comfortable enough to engage with the technology in that way. And with DENC having an office in Canton right now, they're really pretty eager to work with us, because there's a lull in their workload, and it would be a perfect time for them to actually get this done. If things start to resume the new normal, they have a bunch of grants that are waiting to be followed through on that they can't, but once they get the green light on that, they're going to be off and running in a different direction.
I think it's worth it for everything that everybody just talked about. I'm in support of it.
I'm in support. I'd like to see if there's a way, you know, if they're going to be doing this grand tour of the town, you know, every stretch of road we got, if there's a way to, I don't know what they have. I mean, obviously Dank has some of their own fiber running through the town, but I don't know what they have in terms of inventory. But if there's a way to work in a mapping of, I want to say, you know, broadband means different things to different people. I mean, true high-speed internet. If there's a way to work that in, great, but I'm in favor either way.
I'm more than fine reaching out to them tomorrow and asking that question, Tim. Is that an a la carte item that's available on top of this, or how are they addressing that? Because like I said, I can't imagine this is not on their radar already. But I was limiting my conversation with them to highway department needs. So, I mean, this would be an expansion on that conversation.
Does this include inventory of all the roads too? As far as the mileage and that type of thing? Because Angela, are you still on? That's part of the AUD that we haven't done, is the inventory of the roads at this point.
Very true.
So if you could ask that question too, Bob.
I mean, what do you mean by inventory? The length of each individual road or the names of the roads?
Both. Because then we have to put a value on the roads as part of our inventory for the AUD. That's never been.
Well, and exactly. And the inventory of the roads and the value of the roads would include the infrastructure that the township owns. So you can't, that data of just giving the value of the asphalt, let's say, doesn't nearly cover all of the value of the infrastructure, because the value's in the culverts and the signs
and there's some type of formula that we're supposed to be using to taking the data that we have. It's never been done, but if you could ask that question.
Certainly.
Okay, so do we want Bob to get more information and we table this until next month?
I don't want to wait a month.
I'm sorry?
We can't, we don't want to wait a month. Dank, like Bob said, Dank has the window to do this work.
So then I need a motion. I mean, the agreement has not been looked at by our attorney. Do we need to have him look at it also? Or do you just want to go with this agreement?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal with Dank pending sign off by our attorney.
All right.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion, questions, or concerns?
Well, I know we're tricky here on timing, but I would like to see, you know, if there's the ability to add on.
Yeah.
This agreement covers them looking for culverts and signs and streetlights. So I'd hate for them to just sign the agreement and they go do that, and then we find out later we wanted them to go look at internet too. So I'm fine proceeding with this, but maybe if there's the ability to amend it.
We could add an addendum later, right, Tim?
Right. I think it could just be an appendix to this contract or a second contract and the data collected at the same time. We can move forward on this with that question in mind. And should that cost X amount of dollars more, we have a contract specific to those needs.
Perfect.
Well, and I would just like to make a comment. We've got to get internet and technology down into the highway department. And I would be looking to have that as part of the 2021 budget so that we can start. We've got to have technology down there. So, okay, so we have a motion by Bob Washoe. I believe, Karen, you seconded it?
Yes.
To approve this, proposal and hosting agreement. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, carried. Great. Thanks, Bob. You'll just let us know, and then I will also send this to Eric. Okay, the New York State DOT Shared Services Agreement. That was tabled. We had approved signing a 4-year agreement that was rescinded last month and tabled. Does the board want to revisit this? We had talked about making it a 2-year. It was tabled because it was rescinded as a 4-year.
I'd like to get, I haven't heard directly from our highway superintendent on this, and I'd really like to have his input before.
He's not in favor.
I'd like to hear more from him before.
Okay.
It looked good to us, but he's not in favor, and that speaks to me. So I'd like to hear more before we act on it.
I'm fine with that.
So we'll ask the committee to go back to Terry and,
The committee is telling you what already Terry told us. I think Tim is saying he wants to hear it in his own words. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And maybe it's on me that I haven't followed up on this as much as I should, but it'd be helpful to hear directly.
Well, and I believe he shared his thoughts with the supervisor as well.
so how do you want to hear from him? Do you want him to put something in writing, or?
Anybody can put anything in writing anytime. That'd be helpful. If we have questions, we can come back to them. But if if the highway superintendent is not in favor of it, and I haven't really heard directly from him, then I'm not in a position to take action on this tonight.
Do you want to give him a call? Or do you want me to have him call you?
Not right now.
All right, well, I'm just trying to facilitate here. I will forward your message to him. That you're interested
Well,
in.
I mean, I think this isn't me. I mean, I think this should be presented to the whole board. The whole board is being asked to take action on this. We're told that the highway superintendent isn't in favor. He should write down the reasons he's not in favor and tell us. That would be helpful for me.
Yeah, we can't really make a decision until we hear from him.
So.
Okay.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but Bob and I have heard from him, and I mean, we've dealt with him a long time, and you may get a response and you may not, but I think it's the committee's feeling that anytime that you can partner with a larger municipality or a neighboring municipality on anything, it's usually in our best interest to do it. And that's why the committee was moving it forward. But I don't have a problem. If you want to wait, then we can wait.
I mean, Bob and Jim, are his reasons valid to you? If I'm assuming he's shared his reasons for not being on board with the both of you.
I would say if those reasons were valid, we wouldn't be discussing it. You know, it's just, I mean, it's Terry's feeling that, you know, that he's not, you know, he doesn't know that the state is ever going to do anything for him, or that they're going to do anything for the state. We have done things in the past, I think, where he's coming from, and we've done it without disagreement. And I think more of his feeling is that, you know, sometimes you're just better off if it's just left unsaid. And, you know, if Terry needs something, he'll ask him. And if the state needs something, they seem to ask. But I think in today's world, it's always better to have a policy that's written and signed, because handshake agreements, they're just not any good anymore. They can get you in more trouble than not. And, you know, you know, I've been in business a long time, and I've done a lot of business with handshakes and just yes and whatever, and nothing in writing. And I mean, him and I are the same age, and but I have found that in today's world, these sorts of things are good to have on paper and sign, so that there's no question. If there's
I think it's an old school approach, and I think that Terry has worked with the state. The state has asked Terry for things, and he's worked with them on a case-by-case basis. And it's just one person to another on a phone. One of the examples Terry gave as to question the need for it. So 68 was just milled from within the village, well, all the way up to the corners, and all of the millings, none of the millings were offered to the town of Canton, and that was pointed out as an example of the state only wanting us there when they need us, and it not being a two-way street. But I actually explained it as maybe it's a chicken and an egg thing. That's sort of much more meaningful relationship of looking out for each other when it comes to cost sharing on materials is only going to happen when we actually have that agreement signed. That's what puts us together. That's what makes the relationship much more meaningful, instead of one guy just helping out another guy in a more ad hoc situation. And so my feeling is, that Eric advised us on this. We spoke to Eric on this. If the state requests something and we can't do it, we don't do it. So it's not like the agreement is going to get us on the hook for things, but it does offer the opportunity to have a much more meaningful relationship. And if that meaningful relationship could save us and the state or New York State taxpayers money, we should be exploring every possibility to do that.
I've spoken to the gentleman twice, and it's for emergency situations. And he said, Mary Ann, if there's an emergency and we don't have something in writing, we got to get something in writing before we can help. So I'm in favor of signing a 2-year agreement.
Is the 2-year the recommendation then of the highway committee?
Yeah, there's no need to go to 4. Let's just take the minimalist approach on it and be happy with that.
All right, I'm good. I'm good then.
And okay, thanks.
So is there a motion to accept or to sign a 2-year shared services agreement with the New York State DOT?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Aye.
All right, the next item on the agenda under new business is support of Black Lives Matter. I am presenting a resolution. You all have the resolution, and I would like to read it if you would bear with me. Whereas the Declaration of Independence defined the United States of America as a democracy based on the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and government by the consent of the people, and the 14th Amendment instilled equality of the races in the United States Constitution. And whereas from slavery to Jim Crow laws to the modern criminal justice system, Black people, including Black transgender people in this country, have been brutalized, dehumanized, and murdered for centuries. And whereas in the 21st century, Black people in America continue to live in fear for losing their lives at the hands of law enforcement or members of white supremacist groups. And whereas on May 27, 2020, the killing of a Black 46-year-old father of 2, Mr. George Floyd, by a police officer has sparked protests in the village of Canton, our neighboring towns and villages, and across the nation. And whereas these protests remind us again that for centuries our nation's social institutions, including education, healthcare, business, government, and criminal justice, have systemically and disproportionately discriminated against Black people. And whereas our nation's laws afford everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, or gender identity, the right to equal protection and equal justice under the law. And whereas we recognize that people of color who live, study, work, and recreate in Canton experience incidents of racism on an individual and systemic level. And whereas the people of Canton wish to welcome and include people of all races, ethnicities, and gender identities to create a community where everyone can thrive. And now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Canton Town Board condemns all acts of racism and discrimination against people of color, and affirms that Black lives do matter. And be it further resolved that the Town of Canton Town Board recognizes that it is the responsibility of all elected and appointed officials, municipal staff, and law enforcement personnel to commit to making the Town of Canton a welcoming, inclusive, and safe community in which people of all races, ethnicities, and gender identities can thrive. I make a motion that we pass this resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion, concerns, questions, comments?
Appreciate the supervisor bringing this motion to us.
Agreed.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is for information purposes only. We have received information that the premium rates for 2021 for health insurance are going to go up approximately 6%. That's the proposed. That could change. But it's going to be an increase. So hopefully it won't be 6%, but then we'll go from there. And that'll be part of the budget development. The next item is approve highway summer construction projects. Terry had sent this one letter. It was a paving estimate, but I didn't know from committee if there was anything else that we needed to consider. Bobby,
we need to officially approve laying down 8,600 feet of blacktop on Outer Judson Street from 310 to just shy of the Ames Road. And that's all we're prepared to recommend at this point until we see the CHIPS reimbursement and then we get the letter for the second quarter to find out what monies are available going forward.
Okay, so.
Do I have that right, Jim?
That's correct.
Okay, so do you want to make that motion with the details?
Make a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to pave 8,600 feet of Outer Judson Street Road from State Route 310 to just shy of the Ames Road intersection.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Good.
Okay, good.
Seeing it's all done.
See, it's all done. It looks really good. Okay, the last item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, with that being said, I need a motion to go into executive session for Public Officers Law 105F, matters pertaining to a particular person.
Pertaining to what?
A particular person.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So moved.
Oh, Tim, you moved? Is there a second?
Second.
Aye. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carry. All right, thank you, Cindy.
Okay.
Good night, Lee, Angela, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Anna, do you want to turn the host over to one of us?
Yep, I just made you the host, and you being you, Karen, and you may wish to turn off recording.
Yep.
Have a good one, y'all.
Thank you.